When this topic was allotted to me, the first thing the speaker receives a topic for presentation in such conferences, immediately he rushes to the literature. What is there in the literature? And that's exactly what we did. And the topic was a question. I was asked to answer a question, policy of visitors in ICU, whether we should be strict or liberal, particularly in context to Indian ICUs. And as we trace the literature, Indian, international, Western, whatever, we got more confused. There were more questions coming up than any answers. So they were not moving forward. Then while on being rounds, I just talked to my residents, my colleagues. What do you think? Whether it needs to be strict or liberal? One of them said, the way we are doing. I asked the nurses, how do we do about it? She said, we should be very strict. The third one said, we can be moderate. And ultimately said, then how do we reach a conclusion? So why don't we survey? It came from a nurse. So that's how we decided to answer this question by doing a survey, ignoring any existing literature whatsoever, anywhere. And we sent a questionnaire to 2,500 intensivists across India and abroad. A questionnaire was prepared and mailed through the critical care people, the Yahoo group, and we just wanted very simple answer, whether they will answer yes or no. A questionnaire of almost 100 questions were prepared by my team, my friends. I requested some of my friends outside my hospital what questions they will like to go into the questionnaire. And ultimately we settled down to about 20. Why 20? Why not 25? In Rajasthan, 11, 21, 31 is a good number all the times. We sentimental for us. So we selected 21, not very difficult, yet at the same time maybe it would be just adequate. So we had almost 50 respondents by the time we analyzed this survey. We have about more in our lab which we can analyze little later. Results were compiled, tabulated, and whatever we are projecting today in this presentation, we are projecting in terms of percentage. And the results have been shown in slides as yes or no. The first answer is yes, first number is yes, and the second number is no. This was the questionnaire. As this is the photograph of the questionnaire, you will not be able to read it, but each question will come. Now, the first question was, do you think there should be a fixed visiting hour in ICU? Now, you see the response is overwhelmingly in favor of, the hour should be fixed. Less than 1/4 of the responders said, no, we don't need to have a fixed visiting hours. So we will say that yes, we need to have fixed visiting hour by and large. This is largely in context to, and the responders included from the best ICUs in our country, the largest ICUs in the country, the government institutions, the private institutions, and the smallest rural ICU, single person manned ICU. We included all those questionnaire and answers into our. Now the second question was, we should allow limited number of relatives, less than 2 at a time. Now you see the answer is almost 100%. All of them said never allow more than 1 or 2 at a time to enter into the ICU and create a crowd there. Should we allow relatives with shoes? Now there is, relatively this is urban versus rural. Those who says don't allow, they are basically rural based ICUs. Those who are predominantly in favor of allowing shoes inside the ICU, they are urban based or city based or high end up ICUs level 3 ICUs, where ICUs are located on 16th floor, 18th floor, and they would generally expect a decent crowd with good hygiene. So this is largely related to hygiene, local cultures. The rural intensivist does not want his patients' relatives to walk into the ICU with shoes. He wants them to be removed, walking with specifically meant sleepers, etc., to move into the ICU. We should call relatives at the time of rounds and discuss about the patient. No, evenly divided. Again, there is a bias, city bias, semi-urban area bias. City intensivists generally have answered that it is good to call the relatives during the rounds and tell them what we are talking about, what we are discussing about, how the patient looks, how we are looking at the prognosis of the patient. The next question is, we should allow relatives to bring in another consultant or a doctor of their choice from the same hospital, some parties omitted, from another hospital to see the patient and opine. That overwhelmingly is, play safe. Generally, the majority says, expects, yes, allow them. That will make you safer, and the level of confidence between the treating team and the patient's relatives will be little more than if you do not allow them. You are stringent about not allowing another consultant to have a look and give his opinion on what is happening, what treatment is being given. Should we cooperate with relatives if they want the ICU team to administer magic medicines or godly offerings? This is not uncommon in India. So again, the majority says yes. If in desperate situation, it is not bad to allow them to do so, but again, it's 50-50. Again, there is a bias here. Semi-urban, rural, they would generally allow, yes, let us accept this, and this will again further strengthen the confidence of the relatives in the treating team. They will understand that doctors are agreeing to everything possible to save the life of the patient. They are emotionally driven and therefore allowing even medicines or godly offerings. Policy, state policy or individual ICU policy. Now, there were three answers. 1/3 of more were in favor of policies regarding this. Majority of them would say, if ISCCM or society like this decided, prepared a guideline, that will go a long way. Therefore, we can have should the relatives be called at a time of CPR? Now, almost do not want the relatives to watch how the CPR is being done. When the CPR is observed, they relatives may be called in. Should we put patients' list outside the ICU? These sentences even are, particularly raw constructed. Easiest to understand even for nurses, so that the actual meaning of the sentence is easily derived. Should we put patients' lists outside the ICU, categorizing the level of sickness in terms of seriousness, like serious, very critical, to make things, the possible prognosis clear to the relatives? Here again, most of them were 2/3 of them did not like this idea, but still 1/3 of them were not against. They were not particularly skeptical to this idea. We might put a notice board outside the ICU and let the relatives know which are the most sick patients. Should we provide a written authenticated note to the patient's relative about patient's condition on arrival, about present clinical condition and possible prognosis? Again, it's evenly divided, 50-50. So you may or you may not. Ultimately, the local team would decide how would move about that. The next question: should we give such notes with evidence at important junctures during the management when particular decision making is to be done, like need to ventilate, or we want to do a tracheostomy? This is, most of colleagues favored the idea of, yes, if we provided them with a written document with evidence, that might go a little long way. You need to guard the check visitors entering the ICU. There is no dispute. Almost all of them said, so I put the first slide with the guard. When I initiated my talk, I put the guard right there in front of the ICU because everyone wants the guard to be there to check the flow of visitors into the ICU. Do you think all relatives should be made to wear sterile gowns, cap, masks, etc., slippers, shoes, covers, etc.? Again, most of them feel yes, but still there is a significant number of intensivists who say it may not be needed. But again, it seems that there is a urban, city and rural bias there. Do you think limited passes be issued to relatives for visiting their relatives? Yes. So no, by and large, seems that everyone wants to limit the number of visitors into the ICU at a time. Do you permit next of kin to sit for long hours or feed the patient in case of patient's relatives' request? Now, here the opinion is divided evenly, 50-50. You may allow, you may not allow, some would allow, some would not allow. This is interesting. Do you allow large number of relatives to enter ICU in case of sudden death? Now, this is a bizarre accumulation of answers. 42 would allow, 58% would not allow. Usually, when we interviewed individually on telephone, the overwhelming opinion was we should not allow. Do you think there should be a non-medical spokesman of the ICU, like a social worker, bridging the ICU team and relatives? The answer went in favor generally. Should we practice standard guidelines about end-of-life support ethics? This made everybody very comfortable. And they said, yes, we should practice and treat the relatives as mentioned in standard guidelines about practicing these standard guidelines for end-of-life support. We should modify such guidelines according to the local needs and cultures. Up came the answer for almost everyone, yes, we need to modify. We should practice these standard guidelines, but wherever there is a need, all these guidelines may be modified according to the local cultural needs. We should firmly refuse entry to any visitor when we have an important event going on in the ICU, like death, CPR, serious discussion going in the ICU. Again, the answer is, we should not allow relatives to come into the ICU. Should the primary physician or referring doctor from other center be regularly briefed? Again, the answer is generally yes. So these were the 21 questions in this questionnaire, and the results are a firm, if not, I would say, should not be strict. A firm, strict policy may be adopted about relatives visiting their relatives in the ICU. Entry of visitors need to be regulated in one or the other way. Entry of relatives be particularly restricted at the time of procedures, CPRs, etc. Maximum transparency be observed in sharing information with relatives, family doctor about patient's condition. Allowing shoes, sterile gowns remain a gray area which each ICU should decide on its own. The standard end-of-life guidelines should be practiced, may be modified. There is some difference in perception amongst metropolitan and non-metropolitan intensivists, and IACCM would do a service to the ICUs if they created certain guidelines in this regard. I would like all of you to raise who are in favor of a firm or strict policy. Those who are in favor of firm policy. So I think there is a clear-cut vote in favor of we should be firm, which matches the finding of this survey. Thank you. Understood the committee, scientific committee, for putting this topic to us, for present here and voted for this. Thank you very much.